So today's session, we're going to be talking about how we respond to stress. And I wanted to do this topic because one thing that I have really been working on over the course of the pandemic is how I respond to, how I carry stress, how I recognize stress that pops up in my life. And I wanted to share with you all just a little bit about um, how I've been dealing with it, some of the things that have been helpful for me in this process. And I thought, who else, could join me for such a topic as Jennifer. If you guys were with us, I'm not sure how many of you were with us in the, I believe, November decompression session. She is an amazing therapist, nutritionist. She's a great person to follow on Instagram. She's an author. I won't say too much more, but I'll let you, Jennifer, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi, everybody. I am Jennifer Sterling. I am a dance movement psychotherapist, a somatic experiencing practitioner, and certified nutrition specialist. And I bring all of that into my mental health practice and support Black women who are living with depression for various reasons. A lot of trauma, a lot of eating disorders that occur alongside depression. So yeah, I'm happy to be here and excited to hear what you have to share.
Yeah. So today I wanted to talk a little bit about, as I said before, about stress triggers. And I feel like as we do these, I'm really trying to like hone in on like the best methodology for these decompression sessions. Like I want to get you all in a really good frame of mind before you go to sleep. That's kind of the main goal. And I'm tinkering with how I want to do that. So today's session might be a little bit shorter because I'm trying to see what that sweet spot is. But I thank you for joining me anyway. So I want to talk about these triggers for a minute. Here on the screen, you see a number of different triggers, a number of different things that can kind of either set you off or, begin that stress response within yourself. One of the things that I have had to do over the course of, the time that I've been doing this work and in my own personal therapy sessions with my own therapist is really kind of pin down what is it about certain situations that will trigger that response of stress in me. It will get my, blood pumping. It will have me feeling those feelings of anxiety. It'll have me feeling not just the physical manifestations of, an elevated heart rate or just uncomfortable feeling in the gut, but also that feeling inside of like something internally is happening with me, whether maybe I don't feel like I'm enough or I don't feel like I am knowledgeable enough or charismatic enough or whatever the case may be. And so I believe I did this at one of our in-person events where I had people just kind of look at a list of stress triggers and kind of see if they can kind of identify for themselves what out of this list, or if there's any that you can think of personally yourself, what is it that can trigger those feelings of stress within you. So just for a few examples, you're running late. How many people on this call hate to be running late? It just drives them crazy because everything always kind of seems to pile up after that. And that's like that running joke on Twitter where it's like, you only get your belt loops caught on the door or you only, that only happens when you're running late. It never happens any other time. One of my big ones, I think that one of my biggest stress triggers is like clutter. I see, a messy space or I see a messy bedroom. And, a lot of times, look, I can't even blame it on the kids or my husband. Like I'm a very disorganized person. And I've had to come to realize that that's how my brain is. That's kind of how I function. But then the clutter that I create sometimes stresses me out. And so I've had to like really keep that front of mind when I'm kind of developing systems or developing ways to kind of keep my place clutter free. I'm trying to keep those triggers in mind to be able to um, be aware, self-aware enough to keep those organization systems going so that I'm not dealing with the trigger. So if you're looking at this and you can name some of your triggers, feel free to pop in the chat box. Like, what are some of those things? And maybe it's something here on this slide, or it's something that you just immediately came to mind. Is there anything in particular that is triggering for you, whether it's with, professional life, whether it's with your children, whether it's with a partner? Is there anything that tends to bother you? And you kind of know that that is something that you go to, it kind of fires you up instantly. So I would love to see. And you can, we only have a few people, a handful of people. You can either pop it in the group or in the chat, or you can just say it out loud. So Cherie said, when I'm running late, usually in the mornings, getting the sons ready for school, and they're dragging their feet like zombies. Yes, I feel like that is a common one, because we are, trying to be on time. And when other people don't share our commitment to, a timely departure from the house, that can be a big trigger, because we're not all on board. We're not all on the same page. Clutter is a big stress trigger for me also. Sometimes I have to clear my schedule and clean my space. Yes, I feel like I have tried in so many different ways. I'm on this big organization kick now where I'm buying all of these little things, and I'm, just setting up little systems in the house little by little, because I feel like I'm a disorganized person that comes from a line of disorganized people. And so I feel like it's really a skill that I have to learn, and I have to cultivate. I feel like clutter is going to be a big one. I probably should have bumped that up a little bit higher on the list here. So what I want to do when we're talking about those triggers, it's one thing to, recognize them. And so there's a couple of things that I wanted to talk about or kind of put in your ear, in your mind, as we're talking about stress. One thing that I have learned, and Jennifer, you can feel free to pop in whatever you like to pop in. But one thing that I've had to learn and had to really learn to ask myself is like, what's the stress behind the stress? Like, what is the reason that this is bothering me? And so with clutter, for example, one thing that might be a reason why I'm feeling cluttered that has nothing really to do with how I flow within my own house, but it's like, oh, I wish my house was cleaner. What if somebody pops by? They might judge me because my kitchen is a mess or my dining room is a mess. Look at my dining room table. We have to clean it off every day before we go to sit down and eat dinner. What is that stress behind the stress? Because if we just kind of look at oh, I don't like the way, this clutter looks, then we might be missing, what that actual secondary layer is. And so, kind of peeling those layers back, taking a second to pause and consider, okay, if it's the clutter, yes, that's layer one, but underneath that clutter, it's like, I don't want people to judge me for the way my house looks, or I don't want people to think, I'm a bad mother or a bad wife or bad whatever, because I can't keep a clean house. And I know that's a big thing for a lot of us that we don't necessarily name all the time. The second part is like we sometimes we notice a pattern. And I think that's one of the biggest keys with our stress triggers is that sometimes we do the same thing all the time, expecting different results. For example, if one of your triggers is, you and your spouse, you and your partner are, having just a rough time at the moment where you just doesn't seem like you're on the right foot, or you have this reoccurring conversation that doesn't seem to go anywhere all the time. Just changing one step of that dance can kind of help you guys get to a different result. So for example, let me see, do I have an example of that? One thing that I've tried to do, with my husband is, sometimes we clash, just the nature of he's a loner. I'm more of a, in your face cuddle type of person. And so instead of me, our pattern used to be that I would be like, well, why don't we ever have date night? And why don't you plan one? And I'm tired of planning one. And that one, and he would get defensive. And then I would be like, well, you're getting defensive, but you're not hearing me on the real issue. We would go back and forth, back and forth. And that was a really big issue of stress for us. And so instead of me, coming at him in a way that's kind of designed to make him defensive, I decided to switch up, how I approached him and said, like, I miss you. That's different than, we never do anything or you never plan anything. And that's really, the stress behind the stress, right? Is that it wasn't that that I was just upset that we weren't having any quality time. It was like, I miss you. That was my real issue. And so I vocalized that. And then he didn't get defensive to, I miss you in the way that he might have, or he usually does with, we never go out, you never plan dates, etc. And so just changing that one approach helped me get a better outcome for that. And then the third thing I would say is learning how to respond versus react. And I know that that's something I think that comes with practice, is like noticing those stress triggers and being able to say to yourself, okay, I am upset because we're running late, or I do not enjoy feeling like I'm behind schedule, feeling like I have to race to work, feeling like, oh, I'm going to get fired, if I'm late too many times. Being able to kind of recognize in that moment, okay, this is what my body is responding to. Once you kind of peel back that first layer of stress to that secondary layer, then you can be like, okay, this is what I'm actually responding to. Now I feel like I can pull out some of my coping skills and coping mechanisms that will allow me to find some calm, allow me to pause, allow me to kind of get on with either the problem solving aspect of it or the acceptance of it. But kind of being in that moment where you can have that self-awareness, so you can say, oh, this is the thing that my body is responding to. This is the thing that I am, this is the stressor. This is the thing that has really got me in this kind of heightened state of awareness. Jennifer, is there anything that you would like to add, or anything that you would like to share with the ladies?
Yeah, what I can add to this is sometimes we're not able to catch our reaction before it happens. Our nervous system tends to respond pretty automatically. And so sometimes we'll catch it after we've already reacted. And from that place, it's then taking a step back and looking at what happened. Right? What created this response? And how might I be able to slow down in the future so that I don't have the same response? Which is what you were mentioning about pausing. So stress tends to appear in the nervous system with a lot of speed. And so if we can slowly slow down, then we have time to actually change the response.
Right. And I think, one of the things that I absolutely find fascinating, and I really recommend, I think Burnout, the book Burnout by Emily and Amelia Nagoski, I think is their name. That book really gave me a really in-depth look at like how our nervous system responds to things, how our body has, different systems that help us, prepare for danger, prepare for, some type of threat, some type of attack. And then we also have this other, or the secondary part of our nervous system that helps us recover from these types of threats that we perceive, whatever they may be, whether it's an argument, whether it's maybe we think that we might have a bad meeting with our boss, etc. And so thinking more about, the like you were saying, Jennifer, that automatic response that our body has to stress, and learning, what that is, what that feels like. And so you can kind of also in the moment say, okay, this is what's happening in my body. My heart rate is speeding up because I'm feeling some type of threat, or my body doesn't feel safe in this moment, or something is causing me a bit of anxiety right now. I'm sweating a little bit, because my nervous system is a little bit in overdrive. Um, so I think definitely thinking about, that physical aspect of it, what's happening in your body. I think that's definitely key. So I have some journaling prompts, and these pretty much go along with the conversation that we've been having so far. And these are three things um, that I try to go over in my own head when I am feeling stressed by something, when I am kind of feeling myself stuck in that stressful situation. Um, so the first one is, right now, I feel challenged by what? Like, can you name what that thing is? I feel challenged by the fact that, my business is not growing as fast as I would like, or I feel challenged by the fact that I have to move and I don't feel like I'm getting enough help from my friends or family or whomever. Naming that issue out loud, I feel like, is a key step for me, hopefully for you, as you deal with any type of stressful situation. The second part, I did not come up with. I can't remember which book it is from Brene Brown, but when she talked about um, all of her work is on vulnerability and shame, and her storytelling is incredible. Um, and she tells this story of, this miscommunication between her and her husband, and she gets really upset with him. And she tells him, she's like, the story I'm telling myself is, and she kind of lays out what she's thinking right now in that moment. And I love that framework for stress, because it allows you to be willing to be wrong, right? It allows you to be vulnerable. It allows you to, really get to the heart of the matter and say, get to the heart of the matter and say, all right, this is the, you know, unfiltered, unvarnished truth. So going back to that conversation that I had with my husband, if I'm using this second prompt here, it would look something like this. So, my husband is sitting down, he's at the couch, he's not paying attention. I'm like, we haven't had a date night in a while. What's going on? And so I could go to him and I can say, the story I'm telling myself is that, you are not interested in hanging out with me. You are, you would rather sit on the couch and watch TV. I feel like, I'm not interesting to you, or maybe, you don't, miss me the way that I miss you, something like that. That might be the story that I'm telling myself. And he might hear that and he would say, no, it's just been a busy couple of weeks at work. I just wanted to unwind before I went to bed. And we could have a conversation that goes from there. um, that shorthand part of it, the story that I'm telling myself, that is something that I really do encourage you to think about and use it in an unfiltered way. The story that I'm telling myself is what, speak your whole truth, nothing but your truth, and see how that helps you process the situation. What is the story? What are the emotions that are flowing through you? And see how that helps you with your stress. And then the third part that I want us to think about is, what aspects of this situation do I have the power to change? What part of this is actually mine? Sometimes we hold other people's stress. And I talked to a therapist a couple weeks ago, and she said something that I was like, I have to write that down. And she said, I can care for other people while not carrying their stress. And I said to myself, like, oh, like I've always kind of thought that caring about people meant that you did carry their stress. It meant that you did care, how stressed they were, how tired they were, that you would, kind of bend yourself over backwards to help. um, but I've had to learn that that's part of the reason why I was always feeling so depleted, because I was always taking care of other people and their needs, and sometimes to my own detriment. And so I think it's fine to be a caring friend and um, to pay attention to what's going on in the lives of your loved ones, but not so much to the point where you are neglecting yourself or neglecting, how much time and energy you can devote to yourself. So, in looking at these three prompts, and again, I will send this out to you all a little bit later, but in looking at these three prompts, I hope that they will help you as you are, dealing with different situations. You want to sit at the end of the night, journal about it. I hope that these three prompts will help you get clarity, get focus, and then hopefully be able to give you enough of that that you can find your way forward. Right. I feel like I zoomed through that just so I could get just so I could get to Jennifer. So I'm going to go on mute and let you lead us in a little bit of a breathing exercise.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm
hearing myself. I don't know if there's an echo for anybody else. But I'll try and adjust my volume so I'm not hearing the echo. What I will say before I jump into the exercise or the offering that I have for you is just an extension of something that was just shared around carrying things from other people. So we talked a little bit about the nervous system as you were going through that. The nervous system naturally co-regulates with the people that we're interacting with. And so sometimes it's not a conscious taking on, but we inherently kind of plug in to the people that are around us. And so noticing too in your body, how much of this did I come into this interaction with, and how much did I take on as I was interacting or coming into this space can sometimes be helpful too. And the body is always giving information, and that way the nervous system is always responding to our environment. So we can unconsciously plug into somebody and take on their stuff, and then consciously find ways to let it go. Yeah, so we're not carrying it around. And I mentioned the nervous system because so much of my work is rooted in nervous system regulation and resourcing the nervous system so that we can remain as resilient as possible as Black and Brown folks. And so the offering that I have for you today is a somatic exercise that I use to support folks in noticing the part of the nervous system that is actually responsible for safe and social connection. And if we're in that place, we're able to rest better, we're able to digest our food better, we're able to feel connected to ourselves and other people. And so I felt like this might be supportive as you wind down your day and get ready for rest. So we'll go through an awareness of our own level of comfort, and then we'll bring some awareness to the breath, and then we'll bring awareness to our weight, meaning the physicality of our presence and how that's supported. And if at any point any of that feels activating or triggering, know that you can always stop, or you can always pull back into something that felt a little more supportive. So there's no right or wrong here. Really just want you to take care of yourself and take care of your body to the best of your ability as we move through this. So we'll start just by noticing where we are. What position are you sitting in? Are you laying in? Are you standing in? And as you bring awareness to that, noticing if you're comfortable. And I tend to start nervous system awareness with comfort, because safety is not always something that feels accessible for folks. The nervous system responds really favorably to safety. But comfort is kind of the precursor to being able to dig into that. And often as Black and Brown folks, safety out in the world at least doesn't feel accessible. But sometimes we can tap into what it feels like to be comfortable. So noticing if where you're sitting or standing, your positioning is comfortable, and if not, are there any adjustments that you might make to feel a little more comfortable? And that could be shifting and adjusting your body. That could be grabbing a pillow or a blanket. What might support you in feeling more comfortable in the position that you're in, or shifting into a more comfortable position. And so taking just a minute here to adjust and modify or bring into your space whatever you need to feel more comfortable. And whenever you tap into that, just noticing how that feels. Is it comfortable to feel comfortable? Or is there resistance to exploring comfort? And taking in whatever is there as just information. There's no right or wrong. And from this place, wherever you happen to be, bringing some awareness to your breath. And you don't have to change your breath, just noticing how your breath is meeting your body, how you are meeting your breath. Noticing if anything changes in your body as you bring awareness to that action, a very kind of automatic, unconscious action of breathing that happens. And so you might be feeling a little expansion of the front of your body as you inhale. You may also notice a little dissolving or settling as you exhale. And just taking that in. How is your breath moving in your body? And we'll be with the breath for about 30 seconds or so, just noticing, gathering information about the way in which it's moving in and out of you. And we'll shift awareness when you're ready to weight the physicality of your presence. And just noticing which parts of your body feel heavy, which parts of your body feel a little lighter. And allowing yourself to be really curious, if you can, and identifying weight in whatever capacity that you're noticing it as something neutral, as just information. These parts of my body feel a little more heavy and relaxed, perhaps, and these other parts of my body feel a little more light or tense. Yeah. Noticing the physicality of your presence, the weight of your body. Noticing which parts of you can settle into the support of what you're sitting on or laying on or standing on. Maybe some parts of you can sink into support with some amount of ease. And there might be other parts of your body that resist sinking into support. And just noticing, not forcing, but being with. And sometimes if we can be with what's there rather than trying to exert control over or trying to change it, they will find their own way into a different experience. And so noticing if that is something that happens for you. As you sink into weight or bring awareness to weight, are there parts of your body that just settle? If you can allow them the time and space to do that when they're ready. And it may help to imagine that the thing that you're sitting on or laying on or standing on has some awareness. So inviting a little playful imagining, and that visualizing or imagining that your chair or your bed or your couch is just really, really grateful to be able to do its job, to be able to support the weight of your body, and is really excited that you're there. And we're using our imagination here, but if you have a chair or bed that's made of natural materials like wood, there is some life force that remains. And if you're sitting or standing or laying on something that is a plastic or something that's not naturally found in nature, someone created that, and so there's still that energy that moves through. And so imagining that that is some life force there, which might make your imagining a little easier. And so allowing the chair or whatever you're being held by to support you in whatever way you can allowing it to do its job. And we'll circle back to breath when you're ready. And bringing some attention back to breath and maybe multitasking awareness so that we're both aware of our breath and our weight. And noticing if there is some dissolving that can happen as you exhale. Are there parts of your body that can be supported in relaxing into support as you exhale? It can be gently coaxed into being supported. Again, there's no need to change the breath, just being with it, allowing it to meet your body in whatever way it needs to in this moment. As you inhale and expand and exhale, and really gently allow your body to settle into that exhale, settle into the support of whatever is underneath you. And we'll stay here with some awareness of our weight and our breath for another minute or so, just being with what's there. And from here, when you're ready, starting to shift your focus and awareness to just the outer edges of your body. Maybe noticing your clothes or your skin, the parts of you that are both connected to your body and connected to your environment. And slowly inviting your awareness to widen out into the environment around you. Sometimes it helps to wiggle your fingers and wiggle your toes and really gently re-engage with your environment. It helps to gently open the eyes and focus on the first thing that you see, the really soft gaze. You can do that. If it feels better to just take a really slow look around the space that you're in, you can also invite that as part of your experience. When we engage the eyes in movement, when we engage the head and the neck as we look around a space, we call that orienting. And we can orient to what feels safe, what feels anchoring, what feels pleasant or neutral in our environment, to invite a sense of safety into the nervous system. And so if it feels good to go from soft gaze to just slowly looking around your space, you can. There's no right or wrong, just noticing what you notice. And on your own time, starting to invite your awareness back into this virtual space that we're sharing here. And noticing what's present in your body, how it feels to be in your body now, having gone through that somatic experience. And if you'd like to share verbally out loud or in the chat, you're welcome to share what came up for you as part of your experience or ask questions. There's no rush either way. Holding stress in the upper shoulders. That's pretty common, yeah. You're not alone at all. Yeah, the shoulders are a natural point of stress because they were built to carry, right? We're built to carry things quite literally on our shoulders. And so when we hold stress, we also tend to hold it in the parts of our body that can manage a lot of weight. And that tends to be the shoulders, which moves also into the neck a little bit. Yeah.
Thank you for that that exercise, Jennifer. I know you this is your second time doing the somatic exercises with us, and I find that it's a really gentle experience. Partially, what how it's designed to be, but also your presentation of it. Um, and I want to thank you for sharing that with us today because I hope and I feel like I'm not alone. I know everybody else is off video and probably still, coming back, like as you said, to this virtual space. But I just want to thank you for the way that you present your work and present these exercises, as I know it was very helpful to me. And I hope also to the other women on the call. So thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure, always.
Yeah. So I'm not going to hold you guys because, like I said, I wanted these to just be, um, you know, sessions where we can come together, join together in community in those moments before bed, and find a little bit of calm and peace together. So I'm going to leave you with these three affirmations, and I hope that you also carry some of Jennifer's exercises with you as you move through the rest of this week and beyond. So the three affirmations are: I can find calm even in the midst of stress. The second is I can always return to my breath. And the third is I can flow with what is. And I hope that you all are able to internalize at least one of these just as something for you to repeat to yourself in those moments where your nervous system is activated and you're at that moment where you're pausing and trying to figure out, okay, what just happened? But something that can kind of help ground you as you do some of this exploratory work. So I want to thank you all for joining me. I know that it's, having things on your calendar are, it's hard to sometimes show up. I realized today as I was logging on that I missed the Zoom that I signed up for at 7. So thank you for showing up. I really do appreciate that. The next one, I have them scheduled monthly throughout the rest of 2021. The next one is June 2nd. So if you want to put that on your calendar now, you can do so. And I really do appreciate this. It's one of my favorite things that I do as part of the self-care suite. So I'm going to let you guys go. I hope that you enjoyed it. Please follow Jennifer online. Bodyful Healing Project, or just Jen M. Sterling on Instagram and Twitter, I believe, as well. Feel free to follow her. And yeah, I will see you all next month. So everybody take care and get some good sleep tonight.